this is Kate from Generate Magic, and I realized I left a really long footnote on my last video, so I thought I would just do a follow-up video. And so you might be asking yourself, okay, once I've identified these bogus beliefs about myself and how they're holding me back, then what's the next step? And so I talked about this quote before from Vinnie Zealand, the author of Reality Transurfing, and it has to do with exiting the courtroom. So in other words, not thinking of yourself as a prisoner to other people's judgment, or being stuck in the cycle where you're constantly having to struggle and strive and prove yourself and deny yourself or deprive yourself of your desires, and especially when this is based on an inherently faulty belief, like the belief that you're somehow defective or that there's something wrong with you. And so once you make this decision to exit the courtroom, your life will get a whole lot better after that, and just from doing that alone. But if you want to take it a step farther, then just taking all of these bogus beliefs, the very disempowering assumptions that you have about yourself, and just reworking it into more empowering assumptions like I talked about in another video recently. And so to get really laser focused with this. So for example, if your belief is, I have to prove that I'm worthy of love, then the opposite of this would be, I am loved just for being me. And so that would be like an example. And you really kind of want to at least I try to hit it from all angles. And so writing multiple statements just to kind of cover all the bases and just saying them in slightly different ways. But to me, it goes much deeper than just statements. So it's really kind of immersing yourself in this new assumption until it becomes your new identity, and really engaging with your life, with your surroundings, with everything, operating from that new standpoint, from the standpoint of somebody, for instance, who is inherently loved just by their divine being. And that alone is a so much more freeing way of engaging with the world versus you're always trying to get love from somebody else. And so I think the reason that it can be difficult to talk about these subjects sometimes is because, at least like in a linear video, is because in real life, these things are rarely linear processes. And in life, it's really just kind of operates in a straight line. And often we kind of conceptualize it in that way, right? Like we kind of think, oh, if I could just get my spiritual awakening, or if I could just reach my wish fulfilled, and we think of it as some sort of summit that we have to climb. But then when we get to the top of the summit, it's not like our life necessarily becomes what we had hoped it would be, and then we can almost immediately get knocked off of the summit, or we're just kind of like in a state, right, where we're constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop. And so, or like I talked about too, like in the video about triggers, sometimes you can get triggered or you can get upset by something, and you could think, oh, well, I thought I was over this already. And then that can lead to a whole cycle where you just become really frustrated with yourself. And so as you can see, spirituality can be its own sort of hamster wheel if you allow it to become that way, which is ironic, right? Because the whole idea of the spiritual path, right, is to escape the hamster wheel. So how do you get off of it? And so to me, I no longer really, as much as I love Joseph Campbell and the whole idea of a hero's journey, I no longer really conceive of life in that way. I think it's definitely great for creating fictional narratives, right? But as far as like real life, to me, it's not so much about the hero's journey anymore, as it is about day by day, moment by moment. So in each moment, asking myself, can I see love instead of this? And really just immersing myself in each moment to the fullest of my ability. And I know it's such a cliche, but really just being present in each moment and just being grateful for each moment. And again, kind of monitoring myself and catching myself when I fall into that lack mindset where I'm craving, or I'm wishing something would be different, or I'm like, well, why hasn't this happened yet? And yeah, just kind of getting back into the state of appreciation. And so to me, that's a much more relaxing state to be in than the state where it's like there's always like some climbing to the top of some summit or some Mount Everest, and just looking at my notes to make sure I'm covering everything. And yeah, seeing every moment as an opportunity for new understanding, right? For expansion, new ways of seeing, and even infinite iterations like on the same subject. And it kind of reminds you something I mentioned before about this copywriting job that I had back in my early days. I think it was one of the first paid gigs that I had, where it was taking this Craigslist work from home ad and it was writing it 70 different ways. And so you really have to get creative to say the same kind of generic ad in 70 different ways. But yeah, life, sometimes it can feel like life can be boring and predictable, but then once you kind of go into it and start to look at the specifics, then you can really just kind of like stretch it out and expand it and really see all these different ways of seeing, and just kind of celebrating being like a new person in every moment, and being grateful when I shed like outmoded ways of thinking, and almost being like, oh my God, I'm so happy that I don't have to think that way anymore. And so, yeah, I know, death is normally something that we mourn, but instead of being in a state of celebration, like just welcoming in these new ways of seeing and these new ways of being, but with gratitude to the old ways as well, because they, of course, are still a part of who you are, and they all kind of make up the whole tapestry. So anyway, that was a long way from where I started, but I hope this covers all the bases. And thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.